When his parents were gunned down in front of him, young Bruce Wayne resolved to rid Gotham City of the criminal element that took their lives. He trained extensively to achieve mental and physical perfection, in addition to mastering martial arts, detective techniques, and criminal psychology. Dressing as a bat to prey on his criminal's fears, Batman fights crime with the aid of specialized gadgets and vehicles, operating out of his secret Batcave below Wayne Manor. Trained to physical and mental peak, arsenal of gadgets, vehicles, and advanced technology, inventor, detective, genius-level intelligence, expert in most known forms of martial arts, trained in all aspects of criminology, mastery of physical sciences, computer expert, master of disguise, photographic memory, trained in stealth and espionage techniques, and expert escape artist. Born into the wealthy Wayne family, Bruce Wayne had an idyllic childhood, although he was given a strong sense of justice by his moralistic and philanthropic parents, Thomas and Martha. After their violent murder at the hand of a mugger, Bruce dedicated his life to battling the criminal element that took their lives. He left Gotham for many years to train his mental and physical abilities across the globe, finally returning to take up the mantle of the Dark Knight. And it's practically the exact same thing as Batman, so yeah. Thomas Wayne was a gifted surgeon and heir to the Wayne fortune. Dedicated to philanthropy as well as medicine, he and his wife Martha were well known and respected in Gotham. Martha Wayne shared her husband Thomas's charitable nature and was dedicated to her son Bruce's upbringing. She was well regarded in Gotham City's social circles and helped host lavish charity balls at Wayne Manor. Their tragic murder at the hands of a desperate burglar, Joe Chill, in Gotham's crime alley shook the city to its core and led to years of urban blight. It also inspired their son Bruce to eventually become the Batman. Highly gifted and well-trained surgeon, heir to the Wayne family fortune, dedicated philanthropist, mother to Bruce Wayne, wife to Thomas Wayne. An insanely homicidal supervillain, the Joker's white skin, green hair, and blood-red lips belie the chaotic nature of underlying his cartoonish appearance. The self-styled clown prince of crime has no superpowers beyond a capacity for incredible violence and a skill at creating deadly mayhem. He frequently concocts elaborate schemes to entrap his arch-nemesis, Batman. Unrepentant homicidal maniac, albeit without a precise psychological diagnosis. Surprisingly strong hand-to-hand combat. His past is unknown, conflicting. Unconfirmed reports state that he was a failed comedian, petty thief, and a broken family man. Employs various deadly weapons, often based on party gag items. Frequently uses a toxin that stretches victim's face into a Joker-like grin and causes death. The daughter of Gotham City's Police Commissioner James W. Gordon, Barbara Gordon was forbidden by her overprotective father from joining the GCPD. Instead, she took on the identity of Batgirl and was crime-fighting partner of Batman for years. But that all ended when the Joker shot her through the spine. Paralyzed from the waist down and confined to a wheelchair, Barbara adopted the new identity of Oracle and now aids the Dark Knight with her computer expertise, providing Batman with the constant stream of information in the field to aid his battle against crime. Eidetic memory, almost total recall of everything she sees and reads. Extensive headquarters in Gotham City's clock tower filled with information archives and high-level hacking and computer skills. Alfred Pennyworth, after a varied career, was employed as the Wayne family's butler when Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. Alfred raised the young orphan and reluctantly aided him in his quest to become the Batman. His many skills, ranging from cooking to medicine, makes him Batman's staunchest ally, along with a formal demeanor that grounds the Dark Knight and deflects those who might otherwise suspect Bruce Wayne's true identity. Skilled actor, trained in emergency medical techniques, proficiency with mechanical and computer systems, expert in domestic sciences, unflappable manner. Unlike Batman, Alfred is willing to wield firearms in times of crisis. Quincy Sharp has been running Arkham Asylum for the past 3 years and has dedicated his life to restoring to sanity the so-called supervillains that plague Gotham City. He is currently campaigning to become the next mayor of Gotham. To facilitate this campaign, he has instigated a stringent new security and experimental research policies at Arkham. Intense dedication to cleaning up Arkham, pompous and old-fashioned demeanor with a focus of his own political aspirations, contempt for Arkham inmates, and disinterest in the specifics of their treatment masks a cowardly nature. Police Commissioner James W. Gordon dedicated his career to cleaning up the corruption in the Gotham City Police Department, a goal he has come a long way towards accomplishing. He has been equally tough on crime, and in the pursuit of making Gotham City safe for all his citizens, Gordon has forged an uneasy alliance with Gotham's other top crime fighter, the mysterious vigilante known as Batman. Experienced police officer, trained criminologist, proficient in hand-to-hand fighting techniques, and expert marksman. One of the most senior and respected guards at Arkham, Cash is only afraid of one inmate, Killer Croc, who severely wounded Cash once during a riot at the asylum. Cash remains determined, however, to keep the asylum's inmate under control and to conquer his fears of Croc. Great physical strength, excellent reflexes, one of the most experienced guards in Arkham, lasting enmity with Killer Croc. Frank has been working at Arkham for 8 years. He has twice been suspended for drinking on the job and regularly holds poker evenings in the guard rooms. Frank is desperate to be top dog at Arkham. He fails to recognize that he is considered untrustworthy and generally disliked. Arrogant belief that he is the best guard in Arkham Asylum, he uses sarcasm to cover up insecurities and failures, violent temper, and has resulted in many injuries to patients. Penny Young was always a brilliant student who was prepared to do anything to advance professionally. She has built up a reputation for being a cold, calculating woman, focused only on the project at hand. She was hired at Arkham Asylum by Warden Quincy Sharp to head up this asylum's research department, and to finally restore to sanity the more deranged of Gotham City supervillains. Graduated from Gotham University with top honors, dedicated to pursuit of psychiatric cure for various forms of criminal insanity, highly focused on career ambitions, intolerant of people who get in the way of her work. A true sociopath, Zsasz grew up in a life of ease but nonetheless became a serial killer. Indiscriminate in his prey, body count is the only thing that matters to Zsasz. He takes pleasure in arranging the corpses of his victims in lifelike poses before carving a mark for each of his victims into his own body. He is saving a special spot for the Batman. Sociopath with no regard for human life, no pattern of killing making him difficult to track, compulsive need to kill others. Born with a rare mutation that made his skin green and scaly and grew his body to grotesque proportions, Waylon Jones was raised by an alcoholic aunt and bullied relentlessly for his appearance. He briefly worked as a carnival freak under the name Killer Croc, but his misanthropy grew as did his bestial nature, pushing him to a life of crime. As his physical condition and mental state deteriorate, Killer Croc becomes a more bestial foe, increasingly detached from humanity. Killer Croc has incredibly thick, tough skin and razor-sharp teeth and claws. An expert wrestler, his strength and stamina are at a near superhuman level. Heightened senses and extremely fast reflexes, able to survive in water for extended periods of time, and an intense hatred of humanity. With an obsessive-compulsive need for attention, Edward Nygma is determined to be the most outlandish of Gotham City's criminals. Concocting elaborate series of clues and riddles around his crimes, Batman has proven a worthy opponent, capable of deducing the Riddler's plans. But Nygma is dedicated to creating a mystery that the Dark Knight will not be able to solve in time. Quote, genius, unquote, intellect, driven by a need to test his wits against law enforcement by leaving clues to his planned crimes, and a compulsive need for attention. Botanist Pamela Isley was transformed by a science experiment gone wrong into a plant-human hybrid. With chlorophyll flowing through her veins instead of blood, she developed a toxic touch and pheromone-fueled talent for seduction. Her crimes have become more ecologically focused as she has increasingly abandoned her human side, identifying more with the natural world. Her unique brand of eco-terrorism often puts her into conflict with Batman, whose iron will usually protects him from her seductive powers. An ability to encourage and direct the growth of all plant life, plant genes mixed in with her DNA and make her an unpredictable and formidable physical opponent, exudes natural pheromones that enable her to exert control over victims, skin secretes a toxin that can make her touch deadly, and a pathological drive to rid the world of humanity and make it safe for plant life. An Arkham Asylum psychiatrist assigned to treat the Joker, Dr. Harleen Quinzel instead became obsessively fixated on her patient, believing herself to be in love with him. She helped him escape confinement and took on her own criminal identity as Harley Quinn. Quinn is a violent and unpredictable felon whose only motivation, beyond general mayhem, is achieving the Joker's approval. Because of his cruel and mercurial nature, this in some ways makes her just another of his victims, albeit a very dangerous one. Surprising strength and stamina, superior gymnastic skills, total disregard for human life. Like the Joker, she is a homicidal psychotic who escapes easy classification. An orphan who learned to survive on Gotham City's streets, Lena Kyle took to thievery to survive, but determined to do it in style. She learned martial arts and trained extensively to perfect her skills at cat burglary. Her criminal activities are often tempered by a reluctant altruism, making her an inconsistent villain and occasional hero. She regularly eludes capture by the Dark Knight and maintains a complicated adversarial relationship with Batman that frequently turns flirtatious and occasionally legitimately romantic. Trained gymnast and athlete, expert hand-to-hand combatant, highly skilled with her specialized whip, a cat o' nine tails, capable of astonishing self, obsessed with and adept at stealing famous and well-protected items, drawn to cat motifs. Victor Freeze was a brilliant cryogenicist whose beloved wife Nora was stricken with a fatal degenerative disease. He placed her in suspended animation while obsessively searching for a way to cure her. But the corporation that funded his research, and Nora's life, pulled a plug, triggering an accident that transformed Freeze's body into a cold-blooded form that must always be kept below zero. At normal room temperature, he will die. Wielding a number of freezing weapons, he wears protective armor in his quest to somehow bring back his lovely wife and avenge her fate, which he partly holds the Batman responsible for. Scientific genius with a specialty in cryogenics, employs an extensive array of cryo-weaponry. His body has been permanently altered to survive its sub-freezing state, wears protective freezing armor whenever he is out in an above-zero climate, motivated by his grief and anger over the fate of his wife Nora. The Penguin, one of Batman's oldest foes, is an eccentric criminal mastermind, known as much for his love of ornithology and trick umbrellas as for his shady business dealings. Gotham's popular Iceberg Lounge serves as Cobblepot's front for a number of illegal financial activities that fund much of the city's underworld. Despite his short stature, the Penguin is a wily foe whose umbrella can conceal a variety of deadly weapons and gadgets. Criminal and financial mastermind, expert hand-to-hand combat, driven by a need to prove himself in spite of his comical appearance, employs various weapons, many based on the umbrellas and birds. Imprisoned from birth to serve his dead father's sentence, Bane was raised inside the horrific environs of Santa Prisca prison. His only friend in the hellhole was a teddy bear he named Osito. Finding solace in smuggled books and medication, he developed incredible powers of concentration. When he was subjected to military experiments using a steroid codenamed Venom, his Iron Forge will help him survive when other test subjects had died, and he managed to escape. Determined to prove his worth, he sought out Batman and broke the Dark Knight's spine. But Batman recovered and managed to best Bane, cutting off the precious Venom supply that transforms Bane into a superhuman. Master strategist, intense focus, abnormally strong reaction to Venom, giving him incredibly enhanced physical abilities, and determined to best Batman and all others who challenge him. Taunted and bullied as a youth, Jonathan Crane vowed to overcome his fears through the study of psychology and biochemistry. Kicked out of his university for experimenting on human subjects, Crane then adopted the identity of the Scarecrow and armed himself with a specialized fear-inducing gas that makes a person's deepest phobias become frighteningly real. His ongoing criminal reign of terror makes him one of Batman's most psychologically dangerous foes. Master of psychology and chemistry, creator of fear-inducing gas, motivated by an obsessive need to create fear in others. District Attorney Harvey Dent was one of Batman's strongest allies in Gotham City, until a criminal threw acid in Dent's face, hideously scarring him. The wounds fractured his psyche, and he was reborn as a schizoid criminal mastermind, obsessed with duality. His former good luck charm, a two-headed trick silver dollar, was damaged on one side in the attack, and Dent has seized on it as a reflection of his half-scarred visage. He flips it to decide the fates of his victims. Despite Batman's efforts to reform his former ally, Dent is consumed by his fixation on chance, and his crimes are designed to prove but his diametric philosophy. Hideously scarred on the left half of his face, which he plays up with a clothing that is differently styled on one side. Extremely skilled with his weapons of choice, twin .45 automatics. Psychotic obsession with duality, designing crimes around the number of 2, and defers to his half-scarred coin in choices of life or death. Jack Ryder is an investigative reporter turned controversial talk show host, well known for his aggressive manner and his determination to get to the truth. What his viewers don't realize is that he's also the Creeper, a garishly colored vigilante who Ryder can, with effort, turn into at will, although at that point the Creeper's manic personality takes over. The Creeper is usually on the side of good, and just barely on the side of sanity. Determined reporter, known for his aggressive pursuit of stories, famous for his controversial talk show, secret identity as his alter ego, the Creeper. Gotham's Blackgate Penitentiary once had a gallows tree from which 313 criminals with death sentences were hanged. The wood from that tree was whittled by an inmate into the puppet Scarface, and that inmate was murdered by Arnold Wesker, a man who soon fell under Scarface's influence. While most believe that Scarface is simply a tool through which Wesker, as a criminal mastermind the ventriloquist, acts out a dark side to personality, Wesker himself believes that Scarface is possessed by the souls who died beneath the gallows tree, and the puppet actually motivates him to commit the duo's many crimes. Puppet animated with eerie verisimilitude by the ventriloquist. Frequently wields undersized but lethal weaponry. When teamed with the ventriloquist, acts as an old-style mob boss with a sociopathic disregard for human life. A dark reflection of Batman, Prometheus was raised by criminals who were gunned down by policemen right in front of him. Dedicating his life to destroying the law, Prometheus traveled the world and trained in the ways of murder. Clad in an armored suit that maximizes his natural skills, he is a master assassin whose physical and mental abilities rival Batman's own. pathological need to kill law officers, trained to peak physical and mental levels, arsenal of weapons, and deadly gadgets. A deranged gang leader, Maxie Zeus came to believe himself an avatar of the Olympian god Zeus. Creating a cult of gang members to do his bidding, Zeus became a power player in the Gotham City underworld. His criminal activities are perpetrated by his army of followers and, he believes, overseen by the Greek gods themselves. Driven by complex religious delusions, charismatic leader who has developed a long-standing cult, determined to extend his powerful reach and recruit new followers. Tommy Elliot and Bruce Wayne were childhood friends and, unknown to Bruce, dark reflections of each other. A childhood sociopath, Elliot tried to kill his parents so he could inherit their fortune. When his plan failed, partly due to the surgical skills of Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, Elliot blamed Bruce. An incredibly skilled surgeon as an adult, Elliot planned an elaborate revenge scheme on the Batman. He disguised himself as the villain Hush, his face covered in bandages, but he was in the end defeated and unmasked by the Dark Knight. Hush still plots revenge against Batman, generating complicated schemes of surgical precision. Great physical strength, augmented by a hatred of Bruce Wayne. World-class surgeon capable of extraordinary medical breakthroughs. Master of disguise, determined to destroy Bruce Wayne. A crooked financier who stole millions of dollars, Warren White thought he scored a legal victory when his insanity plea went through. But when he got to Arkham Asylum, he realized his mistake, driven insane by the other inmates. He was also disfigured by an encounter with Mr. Freeze that left him without a hair, a nose, ears, or lips. Calling himself the Great White Shark, he filed his teeth into fangs to more perfectly resemble his new namesake. Putting his financial skills to use, he has become a major player in Gotham's underground crime scene, running a number of rackets from his cell in Arkham. Brilliant financial skills, which he uses for a variety of criminal purposes. Scarred visage that makes him resemble a shark. Teeth sharpened to points. Little is known of the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul, whose name means the demon's head. But it is known that he has lived for many centuries due to Lazarus pits, mystical and alchemical brews that restore his youth. A brilliant master of strategy and organization, Ra's al Ghul's goal is to save the Earth from ecological devastation by destroying most of its population. He recognizes Batman as both a worthy foe and a possible ally, except that Batman cannot accept his dystopic worldview. Batman also shares a love-hate relationship with Ra's daughter, the beautiful Talia. Genius intellect and strategist, superior strength and stamina, superb hand-to-hand combat, trained over millennia, nearly immortal thanks to the Lazarus pits, commands a legion of followers dedicated to bringing his vision of an earthly paradise to fruition. Obsessed from a young age with Lewis Carroll's book Alice Adventures in Wonderland, Jervis Tetch, an expert hypnotist, embraced the delusion that he was the incarnation of a character in the story, the Mad Hatter. Using his skills from mesmerism, the Mad Hatter has committed many crimes, often themed around the book that inspired him and his love of hats and headgear, going so far as to implant his hats with mind control chips to amplify his hypnosis skills. Above all other headwear, however, he covets Batman's distinctive cowl and will stop at nothing to acquire it. Master of hypnotism and mind control, obsessed with hats, especially one-of-a-kind items, delusional schizophrenic with a fixation on Alice in Wonderland. Arnold Wesker was a timid orphan whose deep repression erupted in a barroom brawl, resulting in him being sent to Blackgate Prison. There he encountered the puppet Scarface and promptly murdered the man who carved the puppet. The two are now inseparable, with Scarface directing a series of criminal activities. While most believe that Wesker is simply acting out a second personality through the puppet, Wesker sees himself as a reluctant lackey who merely does his puppet's bidding. Delusional schizophrenic with multiple personality disorder, obsessed with his puppet, Scarface, whom he puppeteers with unsettling skill. When teamed with Scarface, the two operate as a criminal mastermind. Drury Walker was a minor criminal who adopted the identity of Cameron Van Cleer, a master criminal who in turn masqueraded as the costume supervillain Killer Moth. He is a hired gun for Gotham's gangsters, but his ingenious weaponry, including his cocoon gun, does not protect him from regular defeat at the hands of Batman. Obsessed with fame and identity change, skilled inventor, immoral, and motivated by feelings of insecurity and inadequacy into criminal activities in an attempt at notoriety. Initially an actor in horror films, Carlo went mad when he learned a classic film of his was to be remade with a different actor as the lead role. He took on the mask of the film's villain, Clayface, and killed several of the remake's cast and crew before being stopped by Batman and Robin. Later, Carlo joined the Mud Pack, an alliance of shape-changing, mutated villains who had subsequently used the name Clayface. While that group was defeated, Carlo tricked his allies and injected himself with the essences of several of them, becoming a superhuman imbued with the powers to change shape, melt others into protoplasm with a touch, and mimic the powers of heroes or villains he copies. can alter his physical form, adopting the appearance of nearly anyone. His malleable physical form makes him extremely difficult to injure or contain. His touch can be poisonous. First gaining fame as a psychiatrist who declared that he'd fully analyzed the Dark Knight from afar, Professor Hugo Strange lent credence to his own claims by deducing Batman's true identity as Bruce Wayne. However, his interest in the Batman turned into a deranged obsession, and he's used his medical expertise to hatch a series of bizarre plots based around genetics and mind control in order to defeat the Batman and possibly take his place. Strange's fragile mental state has left him with intermittent knowledge of Batman's true identity, a fact that hangs over Bruce Wayne's head, for if Strange ever snaps completely, Batman's greatest secret might be revealed. Trained to physical perfection, brilliant psychological analyst, extensive knowledge of genetics, obsessed with Batman and Batman's secret identity, plagued by schizophrenic episodes that leave him confused and dangerous. Once employed as an actual Ratcatcher in Gotham, Otis Flanagan soon started using his natural gift, an affinity with an ability to control rats, to stage a variety of crimes. Eventually, his control over the vermin grew until he threatened Gotham City with a veritable army of rodents. Incarcerated many times at Blackgate, he's able to do as much damage within prison as without, using his loyal pets to relay messages and transport materials inside the maze of ventilation ducts that wind throughout the giant prison. Thorough knowledge of Gotham's sewer system and Blackgate's prison's layout. Eerie ability to wordlessly communicate with and command all rats. Overvalues rodent life, especially in comparison to human life. An obese, bald man nicknamed Humpty Dumpty for his egg-like form, Humphrey Dumpler, yeah, we're really stretching it here, is obsessed with taking things apart and putting them back together. His crimes at first were minor break-ins, leading to small mechanical items no longer functioning due to Dumpler's inability to adequately reassemble them after taking them apart. But soon his obsession grew to the point that major disasters occurred in Gotham, and Dumpler's crimes also extended to a gruesome attempt to fix his abusive grandmother by dismembering her and then attempting a Frankenstein-like reassembly. At Arkham, he is a model inmate, his quiet nature and imposing physique inuring him to the madness surrounding him. Extremely tall, heavy, and strong, possesses an almost unnaturally quiet, deliberate nature. Ritualized childhood abuse has led to a severe case of arrested development and inability to assimilate into modern society, obsessed with the process of disassembly and reassembly. Following the suspicious death of his multimillionaire parents in a fire, Roman Sionis inherited a fortune and then went on to bankrupt the company. Saved by a buyout by Bruce Wayne, Sionis came to resent and hate Wayne. Fixated on the concept of masks, Sionis carved one from his father's black coffin and sought revenge. His ensuring battle of the Dark Knight caused his mask to be burnt into his skin, remaking him as the Black Mask. Sionis is now a feared gang leader and one of the most powerful mob bosses in Gotham, with a burning hatred of the Batman. Obsessed with masks, harbors a hatred of Batman and Bruce Wayne, face resembles a black skull, feared and powerful mob boss, and skilled marksman known for his double handguns. A pyromaniac, Garfield Linz began as a petty criminal but soon graduated to major crimes centering around arson, torching huge parts of Gotham in the process. But his fires soon raged out of control, leaving him horribly scarred by one of his own blazes. His body is almost fully covered with burns, and he now wears a full-body flame-retardant suit when he's out pursuing his criminal interests between bouts of incarceration and Blackgate. Thorough knowledge of flammable agents, extensive arsenal of fire-creating weapons, scarred over 90% of his body, sociopath with intense pyromania. Cousins with an uncanny resemblance to each other, Deaver and Dumfried Tweed, yeah, really stretching it here, both shared criminal leanings and fixation on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Teaming up, they've modeled themselves after Tweedledum and Tweedledee from that book, planning often outrageous, absurdist schemes to trap the Batman. Obsession with Alice in Wonderland, skilled criminal masterminds, despite being cousins, could pass as identical twins. Fixated on the calendar, Julian Day became Calendar Man, a villain who timed and tied his crimes thematically to certain holidays throughout the year, often leaving clues by which he could be caught. Gotham City's hopes for a day off are often clouded by the knowledge that any holiday of note is likely to be shadowed by Calendar Man's presence. Obsessed with quirks of the calendar, carefully plans and themes crimes around holidays. Amadeus Arkham founded Elizabeth Arkham Asylum for criminally insane, naming it after his mother, whom he euthanized as treatment for her dementia. Building it on the old grounds of his family's historic mansion on the outskirts of Gotham, Amadeus personally treated his first patient, Martin Mad Dog Hawkins, who had killed Amadeus's wife and daughter. After administering fatal electroshock treatments to Hawkins, Amadeus lost all grip on his sanity and was admitted to his own institution. Highly respected psychiatrist until his fall into sanity, heir to the Arkham land and fortune, delusional schizophrenic.